Oh, hey. Hey. Well, hello, everybody. I haven't been around for a while on my channel. I got really sick there for a while, and I got better, and then I got sick again. And so I just didn't do anything. And just recently, I just had a shoulder operation. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, it's healing up pretty nicely. So that's why I haven't done anything. But I'm feeling better now. It's a little snowy out today, so what we're going to do is I have decided that I drink too much. Well, I don't drink too much. I spend too much money on alcohol is what I do. I spend a lot of money on alcohol. And so I started doing some research, and I noticed there are so many people online making alcohol out of juice. And it's a pretty simple recipe, and I'm going to share that recipe with you today. And then we're going to come back. Now, it's supposed to take up to 3 to 4 weeks. There's different variations of how you're able to, be sure that it's done its fermentation. And we'll discuss that as well, too. But right now, we're going to simply start with the simplest ingredients. The first one is sugar. Just white granulated sugar. And now out there is a wine and champagne yeast. The best one is, I believe it's the EC 1118, which most likely, if this works out, I'm going to be ordering some of that stuff. But today, we're just simply using normal yeast. So I've already used some of it, and I'll show you what I did here. So this is my first batch. It was made on November 9th. Now this is an apple juice. Forget about the peel. It overflowed, and I'll tell you why it overflowed. So before I did a lot of research, I just watched one video, and I was like, oh, that's easy. So I didn't empty it out enough. I didn't empty it out 2 cups. Make sure you empty this out, each one of them, 2 cups, okay? Because you're going to be adding 2 cups of sugar into it. What I did was I emptied it a little bit, and then I added 1.5 cups of sugar, which put it right up here. And then I put in 1/4 of the yeast. And like 10, 15 minutes later, nothing was happening. And I was like, oh, I didn't do enough. Because what I thought was, if you put more yeast in, you'll get more alcohol. But that's not how it works. The sugar is what turns into the alcohol. The yeast, that doesn't matter how much you put in. 1/4, 1/2. Keep it low, though, because yeast will get bigger. Yeast will just keep becoming yeast. So the more that it has to eat, the more that it will multiply. And yeast will multiply as much as it wants until it eats up everything it wants, and then it dies. So 1/4, that's it. Another thing too is if you use a smaller amount, if you use way too much yeast, you're going to get a very yeasty, hoppy taste to your wine. You don't want that. What you want is you want the sugar to turn into alcohol. So for 1/4, with 2 cups and 1/4 of the yeast, I believe that you're going to get about a 12% alcohol for each bottle. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's 12% is not that bad. If you use the champagne yeast or use the wine yeast, you're going to get about 15 to 18% alcohol per bottle. But right now we're just using normal bread yeast, and 12%, that seems fine. So, and here's another thing too. So there's 2 different ways that you can do this. I'm using the balloon method because I kind of like to be able to monitor what's happening with it. And as you can see, if you can see it, the yeast is working right now. As long as you have that bubbly, nice and bubble like that, and your balloon is a little big. Now, but you can't leave your balloon on because your balloon will get too big, or this will impact and overflow. So you take a pen, just a normal needle, and you poke a hole in it, which is already done. The one hole, though, wasn't working, so I poked 2 holes. I poked one on this side and this side. And now that's all it needs to release its gases. and it will keep the balloon up there like this. Once that balloon has fallen and there's none of this anymore, and it's just calm and clear, which should happen in about 3 weeks, if not 4 weeks, that's when the yeast has stopped eating. The yeast will build up onto the bottom. Right on the bottom here, as you can see already, some of it is dying. But like I said, the yeast is multiplying, so it is still eating the sugar and turning it into alcohol. So as long as you keep this and you check it like every day, make sure that it's not overflowing or anything. I have it in my closet where it's dark, but I have it sitting on a pan. So if it does overflow, it's going to overflow into the pan and out into all the stuff that I have in my closet. So we're going to put that away. Here's the other thing. So balloons, sugar, yeast, a cup, and a quart. Paper towels, this could get messy. And a funnel. So what we're going to do now is, oh, and here's the other method too. Sorry for being a little, spinny today, but here's another thing you can do too. If you don't want to use the balloons, you simply use your cap. You put your cap on so that when you do this, your cap will come up, but then fall back down again. This ensures that no oxygen gets in during the fermentation process. But if the gases need to get out, they'll get out. Lots of people love this cap method. I'm not a big fan of it. I prefer the balloon because then the balloon literally tells me when the wine is done. Remember to keep these caps though, because once the fermentation's done, you can put the cap back on and tighten it up. And then as long as you let it sit, the longer you let it sit, the better tasting it's going to be. So if you're in a rush and you're like, oh, I want it in 2 weeks, you're going to get a wine. But it's not going to be good. The fermentation's not going to be complete. You're going to have that live yeast in your stomach. Not going to feel very good. So be patient. And the thing is if this works out, I'm going to buy the necessary things that I need to start making big batches. And the big batches will work perfectly because once one big batch is done, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to drink all of that by the time the next big batch is done. So, and I will save myself thousands and thousands of dollars in alcohol in at least a year. So let's get started. We're going to start with this one first. And we're going to put in the 2 cups of white granulated sugar. Using the, oh, and before we get started too though, I did forget one important thing. If you're going to use the balloons. If not, don't do this. If you're going to use the balloons, take off this little plastic part right here. Get rid of that. There we go. Now we can continue. Pour a little bit extra in here. Sure it's not exactly to the top, because when you pour the liquid out, the liquid's not exactly to the top either. Using my funnel. And we'll just pour it in. Now I've seen lots of people in these videos not use funnels, and it's like all over the place, and they got sugar and wine, and they got I don't know how they even do things in life that messy. But if you're a little cautious, this is not a messy process at all. Second cup. Really that simple. And look how much space you still have in there, because the fermentation is going to foam up a lot, right? And you want to be able to not let that foam overflow. With this, the first one that I made, it was a good thing that I had a tray, because it did overflow. Before I started using the balloon method, I had just the cap on, and it overflowed so much it just overflowed the cap almost right off. Like the cap was just barely sitting on top of it. I'm very scared of this first batch. I don't even know if I'm going to, like, if it's going to be successful in any way. I'm just crossing my fingers and hopefully it will. So here's the yeast, just normal bread yeast. Open that up. And we're going to just take 1/4 cup. That's it. That's all you need. You're going to get lots of other people, and I'm probably going to get comments too. We're like, oh, that's not enough yeast, or where did you get that ingredients from? Now, here's another thing too that I just did, and I just realized I did it. When you're doing this, you want to shake up the sugar and make sure that the sugar is all shooken and there's nothing floating in there before you add the yeast. That's one method. There's another 100 different methods. As you can see, the yeast is floating on top, where they add the sugar and the yeast at the same time, and they shake it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shake up the yeast and sugar in this one, but then I'm going to shake this one up separately. But I'm not going to do anything with the yeast. I'm just going to let the yeast fall as it may. I'm going to let the yeast do its job. So, not the easiest thing to do with the shoulder operation. So, just going to make sure it's shooken. Oh yeah. And you shake it up really good. And you check it every now and then too, because I'm sure the sugar's probably going to fall to the bottom again. And then you're going to shake it again, and it's going to fall to the bottom. And then you're going to shake it again. And here's the thing too. There's a lot of people that suggest the first couple of days shake it. I don't think that's a good idea, because the fermentation starts in like the first 6 hours, and you've got good fermentation going on. Release there you go, a little bit. And you got really good fermentation going on. So you don't really want to do that. From all of the people that I've watched, and some of the old timers, and I tend to believe the old timers because they've been drinking this stuff way longer. They were doing this before we were even born. There you go. So I'm going to just put the cap on real lightly here, because I'm most likely going to need to shake it up a little bit more. And we're going to go to this one. So we're going to do this one differently. We're going to put the sugar in first and then shake it up. There we go. Now this isn't a surefire way. This may not even work. And this isn't something that's going to replace all of the alcohol. It's not like, you know, this Christmas I might, if this works out in 3 weeks, I might make a batch with the actual wine or champagne yeast. By that time, that will be ready by Christmas. And I might take one of the successful ones with me for Christmas. But for Christmas, I'm doing what everybody else does, going to the liquor store, buying the wine, bringing it to my family, and saying, Merry Christmas. This is just for personal use and, well, really for shits and giggles, because right now I'm just sitting around doing nothing. So I'm literally going insane, and I gotta have something to do to keep my mind occupied. So here's my second one. Sweet. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shake this up real good. And I chose to use the cranberry and raspberry blend. And then, of course, just the grape. Every time I look online, there's so many people that prefer using the reds over the whites. So that's why I went with 2 reds and maybe a white. That's an apple juice. Like, maybe it's going to work out. Maybe it's not going to work out. I couldn't tell you. I am out of shape. Okay, where's my yeast? And my quarter. Yeah. Now again, I didn't get the whole quarter. That's why, don't be like, oh, you put it in too much. No, I didn't get the whole quarter that time. Okay. And then again, like I said, the yeast doesn't really matter. From the research that I've been doing, the yeast basically will multiply all on its own, doesn't need our help in any way. It's not bubbling yet. Okay, so then we're going to put this on. Not going to shake it, just going to let the yeast fall. And there we go. So at the beginning here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the cap method so that the cap is on like this. I'm going to check it between 2, 3, and 6 hours to see what's happening to it. See if it's activating in any way. If it starts to activate, I will add the balloons. Make sure that you also, I will be dating it right in this area. So make sure that you also date it, and just keep your eye on it, and make sure at least, guys and ladies, 3 weeks. You don't want to be drinking something that's still bubbling. That means the yeast is still processing the sugar. That's not going to be good for you. Don't be in a rush. This is not a method. It's not an overnight thing. There are some people I've seen there where they're doing this and they're drinking it in 5 days. That's crazy. Don't do that. That's crazy. So we're just going to leave the caps a little bit off. We're going to put them in the closet, and that's it. We're just going to wait. We're going to wait 3 weeks. Now, I probably will make another video where I'm tasting them in 3 weeks. Hopefully, I'm going to be putting more videos out. Probably not a lot here during the winter time because there's literally nothing here to do but play video games. And I mean, there are so many videos out there of people playing video games that I just don't think it's not worth it. But this spring and this summer, with my beautiful motorcycle, and oh, by the way, so I live in an apartment on the 4th floor, because I'll show you the patio. Just gonna clean it up a little bit here because I didn't think I was gonna do this, but I don't have enough money to store my motorcycle in a heated, storage facility. And there's no way that I'm leaving it out in the cold. I know there are people that do that. I'm not doing it. I'm spending a lot of money on this motorcycle, so that is not going to happen. So I'm going to show you this. We are just going to move over here. I want to make sure that I don't show anything that's going to be... There we go. So there she is. Yeah, I know. What a weirdo. It's my motorcycle is sitting in my living room on my 4th floor apartment. And so you ask yourself, how the heck did you get that up? How did you get that up there? Well, it wasn't easy, let me tell you. This is the 2nd year that I've done it too. So basically what I have to do is, as you can see, I had to take the sissy bars and push them forward. And then I have to manually push my bike up the wheelchair ramp through the major doors, and then back it into our elevator. Now, our elevator just has this much extra room once my motorcycle's in with the tire turned. Not the easiest thing in the world to do. Definitely not the easiest thing in the world to do when you're by yourself. But I've done it. And then I just roll it down the hallway and through the doors and into the living room. And this is where she stays for the winter. Once it's nice, it's much easier to get her down than it was to get her up. So, I guess that's it. That's all I got going on right now. And I will get back to you maybe with something else, but definitely in 3 weeks, so you folks can see how the wine turned out. And thanks for watching. Nothing's happening yet. All right, I'll see you guys. Bye.